If you've been eyeing a Rolex in 2026 thinking, this is the one, you might want to pause, because not all Rolex watches are aging like fine wine anymore. Some are quietly bleeding value, not crashing, not collapsing, just slowly drifting down while most people are too busy chasing hype to notice. And that's exactly where smart buyers win. In today's video, I'm breaking down 7 Rolex watches that have dropped in value in 2026, and more importantly, why they're dropping, whether they'll recover, and when you should actually consider buying them. This isn't hype. This is market behavior, collector psychology, and cold pricing reality. If you care about making smarter watch decisions instead of emotional ones, hit subscribe, drop a like, and let's get into it. Ranked 7th, Rolex Yacht-Master 40, reference 126622. We're starting with a watch that looks untouchable on paper, yet 2026 has proved otherwise. The Rolex Yacht-Master 40, reference 126622, enjoyed serious momentum when the steel sports market was overheated. Now, the market has cooled, and so has its premium. The 40mm oyster case in oyster steel feels refined, especially with those polished center links that instantly separate it from the more tool-oriented Submariner. This is sport with polish. The platinum bezel remains the defining feature, with its sandblasted surface and raised polished numerals catching light in a way that feels understated but undeniably premium. Dial options, particularly the rhodium gray with blue accents, are crisp and modern. The blue seconds hand and Yacht-Master text adds subtle character without sacrificing legibility. As always, Chromolite lume performs reliably. Inside is the caliber 3235, 70-hour power reserve, Chronergy escapement, parachrome hairspring, and chronometer level precision. Mechanically, there's nothing to criticize. It's robust, contemporary Rolex engineering at its best. So why the drop? Because enthusiasm shifted. During peak demand, buyers chased nearly every professional-style Rolex. The Yacht-Master benefited from that wave, even though it was always positioned as the more luxurious cousin in the lineup. As supply stabilized and buyer behavior became more rational, inflated premiums began to correct. In 2026, secondary prices are drifting closer to retail, sometimes below depending on configuration. It's still an excellent watch, but it's no longer a guaranteed upside play. Right now, the Yacht-Master 40 is a watch you buy to wear and enjoy, not to flip. And if the market softens a bit more, patient buyers may finally get the fair entry point this model deserves. Ranked 6th, Rolex Explorer 2, reference 26570. The Explorer 2 is one of those watches collectors claim to love for its purity, and for a while the market loved it too. When the updated reference 226570 arrived, especially in the white polar dial, premiums climbed quickly. In 2026, that excitement has clearly leveled out. The 42mm oyster case is unapologetically tool-focused. Fully brushed surfaces, solid proportions, and that fixed 24-hour bezel reinforce its expedition DNA. It doesn't try to be flashy. It's built to function. On the wrist, it wears larger than a Submariner, but remains balanced thanks to its clean lines. The white polar dial is still the star. The black outline hands and hour markers create sharp contrast, and that bright orange GMT hand injects personality without feeling forced. Legibility is excellent in almost any condition. It's a watch designed for clarity first. Inside beats the caliber 3285. You get 70 hours of power reserve, an independently adjustable local hour hand, and Rolex's Chronergy escapement. From a mechanical standpoint, it's exactly what a modern GMT should be: reliable, practical, and durable. So why has value slipped? Because the initial surge was driven by novelty and scarcity. Once supply normalized and the frenzy faded, premiums began to compress. Buyers also started leaning back toward more compact cases and more universally versatile designs. The Explorer 2 at 42mm and purpose-built in aesthetic isn't for everyone. In 2026, we're seeing secondary prices settle much closer to retail, sometimes below peak purchase levels from the hype period. That doesn't diminish its capability. It simply means the speculative phase has passed. The Explorer 2 remains a serious, functional GMT tool watch. But from a value perspective right now, it's no longer riding momentum. Patience may offer a better entry point for collectors who genuinely appreciate what it represents. Ranked 5th, Rolex Datejust 41, Fluted Bezel. The Datejust 41 is the watch people call safe. Safe design, safe heritage, safe choice. Ironically, that sense of security is exactly why many buyers overpaid when the market was running hot. In 2026, reality has settled in. The 41mm oyster case has strong wrist presence without feeling oversized. The fluted bezel catches light in that unmistakable Rolex way, instantly recognizable across a room. On a Jubilee bracelet, it feels elegant. On oyster, slightly sportier. Either way, it's versatile. Dial options range from classic silver and black to blue in the ever-discussed Wimbledon variant. Some colors still hold stronger demand than others, but the days of blanket premiums across the board are gone. Buyers are far more selective now. Inside is the Caliber 3 235, delivering a 70-hour power reserve, chronergy escapement, and solid chronometric performance. Technically, it's excellent. No drama, no weakness, just dependable Rolex engineering. So where did the value go? During the surge, nearly any steel Datejust 41 with a fluted bezel was trading well above retail. Demand outpaced supply, and many buyers convinced themselves it was an investment. As production increased and the secondary market cooled, those inflated prices corrected. Especially for less desirable dial combinations, resale values have softened noticeably in 2026. The Datejust 41 is still a timeless watch. It will never be irrelevant, but it is not immune to cycles. Right now, it's a buy for long-term enjoyment, not short-term gain. If you're strategic, waiting for the right dial and the right price makes far more sense than chasing nostalgia-fueled premiums. Ranked 4th, Rolex Sea-Dweller 43, reference 126600. The Sea-Dweller 43 is what happens when Rolex decides subtlety is optional. It's bold, overbuilt, and technically impressive. And yet in 2026, the market has quietly stepped back from it. Reference 126600 brought back the red Sea-Dweller text on the dial, a nod to vintage heritage that collectors initially loved. The 43mm oyster steel case is thick, solid, and rated to 1,220 meters of water resistance. Add the helium escape valve, and you have a serious professional dive instrument. On paper, it outspecs the Submariner in every meaningful way. The black dial is classic Rolex dive design, clean, balanced, highly legible. The Cerachrom bezel is virtually scratch-proof, with crisp white numerals that contrast sharply against the black insert. It's purposeful and unmistakably tool-driven. Inside sits the Caliber 3 235, offering a 70-hour power reserve in Rolex's modern chronergy escapement. Performance-wise, there's nothing to fault. It's robust, accurate, and built for long-term reliability. So why has value softened? Size fatigue? Many collectors are shifting back towards slimmer, more wearable watches. At 43mm with noticeable thickness, the Sea-Dweller isn't for every wrist. And when buyers compare it directly with the Submariner, most still gravitate toward the Sub for its balance and comfort. As a result, secondary prices in 2026 have eased from their previous highs. The initial excitement surrounding the anniversary red text has cooled, and premiums have compressed. The Sea-Dweller 43 remains an engineering powerhouse, but in today's market, it's a niche choice rather than a broad favorite. From a value standpoint, the correction reflects shifting tastes more than any flaw in the watch itself. Ranked 3rd, Rolex Air King, reference 126900. The Air King has always been the slightly rebellious member of the Rolex family. Not a dive watch, not a GMT, not a dress icon. It lives in its own category. After its redesign, that individuality briefly translated into strong demand. In 2026, that momentum has cooled. Reference 126900 introduced meaningful upgrades. The 40mm oyster case gained crown guards, giving it a sturdier, more contemporary look. Proportions feel improved, and overall build quality is exactly what you expect from modern Rolex. The dial remains its most debated feature. Bold 369 numerals, prominent minute markers, and an aviation-inspired layout make it instantly recognizable. Some collectors appreciate its personality. Others find it visually busy. That divide directly affects resale demand. Inside is the Caliber 3230, offering a 70-hour power reserve and Rolex's Chronergy escapement. Reliable, precise, and robust, it places the Air King on solid mechanical ground. So why the drop? Because niche appeal rarely sustains universal premiums. During peak demand, buyers chase new releases and availability. The updated Air King benefited from that wave. As the market normalized, collectors shifted back toward universally accepted staples like the Submariner and Yacht-Master 2. In 2026, secondary prices have softened from prior highs. The speculative premium has faded. The Air King remains distinctive and well-built, but it's now a buy for personal taste, not short-term appreciation. Ranked second, Rolex Submariner Date, Bluesy, the two-tone Submariner. Bluesy had a serious moment during the luxury surge. Steel and yellow gold, sunburst blue dial, matching blue Cerachrome bezel, it's bold, unmistakable, and very Rolex. For a while, that flash translated into strong premiums. In 2026, the shine has dulled a bit on the secondary market. The 41mm Oyster case remains one of the best balanced sports cases in the industry. Solid, comfortable, and versatile. The combination of brushed steel and polished gold center links gives it that unmistakable two-tone personality. Some collectors love the statement. Others feel it's too loud for everyday wear. That divide matters. The blue dial is the centerpiece. Under different lighting, it shifts from bright electric blue to deeper tones. The applied gold hour markers and hands add warmth, while Chroma-Light lume keeps it practical. Inside beats the Caliber 3235, delivering 70 hours of power reserve and Rolex's modern Chronergy escapement, reliable, accurate, and built for the long haul. Mechanically, there's nothing to fault. So why has value dropped? Two-tone models often surge when confidence and spending are high. When markets tighten and buyers grow cautious, demand typically rotates back toward full steel references. In 2026, we're seeing exactly that. Secondary prices for the 126613LB have softened from their peak, especially compared to the frenzy years. The Bluesy is still iconic. It still has presence. But right now, it's not commanding the speculative premium it once did. If you love it for its personality, it's a compelling wear. If you were buying it for quick upside, the market has delivered a reality check. In first place, Rolex Sky-Dweller. At number 1, we have the model that once felt untouchable in the modern Rolex lineup, the Sky-Dweller in steel with a white gold fluted bezel. For a period, especially with the blue dial, this was the watch everyone chased and few could obtain without paying a serious premium. In 2026, the market has finally cooled. The 42mm Oyster case gives it undeniable presence. Larger than most Rolex sports models, yet proportionally balanced. The white gold fluted bezel delivers that unmistakable Rolex identity, while Oyster or Jubilee bracelets subtly shift the watch's character from sporty to refined. The dial is what truly sets the Sky-Dweller apart. An off-center 24-hour disc tracks a second time zone, discrete month indicators frame the dial, and the date sits cleanly at 3 o'clock. It's complex, yet surprisingly readable once understood. The blue dial variant drove much of the prior hype. Inside beats the Caliber 9001, one of Rolex's most advanced movements. Annual calendar, dual time, and the ring command bezel system for intuitive setting. This is serious mechanical engineering, not just aesthetic appeal. So why the drop? Because hype fades. During peak demand, scarcity and excitement pushed Sky-Dweller prices far above retail. As supply improved and luxury spending cooled, valuations corrected, particularly for higher ticket references. In 2026, secondary prices have eased meaningfully from prior highs. Not a collapse, just normalization. The Sky-Dweller remains one of Rolex's most impressive creations, but it's also proof that even sophisticated watches move in cycles, not straight lines upward. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Rolex didn't suddenly become worse in 2026. The finishing is still sharp. The movements are still among the most reliable in the industry. The brand power is still immense. What changed is the market, and markets always correct excess. If you're buying purely for passion, none of this should scare you. Wear what you love, enjoy it. That's the point of a great watch. But if you're buying with value in mind, timing matters more than brand mythology. Even the crown follows cycles. Right now, patience is your strongest advantage. Study the trends, watch pricing, avoid emotional premiums. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with collectors who believe every Rolex is guaranteed profit. Smart buying beats blind hype every single time.